Peace and welcome to Not Church. I assume the mic is working. Yes. I'm looking over at the chat over there. Yeah, peace and namaste, everybody. And welcome, old friends and new friends, to Not Church. No doctrine, no dogma, no bravo Sierra. Deconstruction. Mysticism. My first near-death experience gave me a new identity 40 years ago. That's what happens in a mystical experience of pretty much any intensity. You become a new person. You become born again. Major NDE, major mystical experience, or minor mystical experience. They are all circumstances in which we're remade. Not Church is global mysticism with a Christian accent. I'm not a believer. My faith and beliefs all vanished in the fullness of the light in no thingness in heaven. When I was dead, only there is no death. There's only transition. I am a mystic, and it's taken me decades to say that out loud. Decades. Long before my NDE, this is who I've been. You too, maybe. I think there are many of us who have mystical experiences when we're quite young. But we're not allowed to talk about them, except for here and in Mystic Tea Salon. I have a guru. My guru is the ineffable beloved, who I met in heaven, who is here with me now, and with you, and with all of us. I'm Peter Panagore. Welcome and peace. Sundays, Not Church, is about biblical deconstruction and reconstruction through the lens of my near-death experiences and my other mystical journeys using metaphor, simile, symbols, and myths. The string of words and sentences I speak matter less than the subtle light that gathers us together. Where two or more are gathered, the I am is there, is here. Not Church is primarily for Shaktipat, the transmission of the radiant frequency among us because it is already in us all. Feel it for yourself. Don't take my word for it. In the beginning was the Word, the Prologue of John says. The word, logos, means the wisdom that manifests creation. The prologue is a creation myth. It's the fourth creation myth. Chapters 1 and 2, Genesis. Chapter 22, Revelation. The Prologue of John. The Prologue of John tells a truth without being literally true, like all myths. They tell forth truth using symbols and metaphors without actually being history or science. This creation myth in John points to first the goodness that exists within all of us. That's not a word that's in is in John, but it is in Genesis, and I'd like you to bring that with you as we go through John today. Because this creation myth is also about goodness that pre-exists all there is. So today, the prologue of the fourth creation myth. A direct experience is where the word, the logos, is vibrating at a higher frequency within you and between us. And it happens when the divine grabs you and takes you, or comes and infills you, or speaks to you in the voice of an angel or a dead loved one, or in 1,000 different ways, inexplicable, unsayable, vibrating frequency. Think about my voice and the words that I'm saying, using breath as I speak. Now, please touch your throat and hum. Do you feel that vibration? Say a word or two if you wish. Speak, feel the vibration. This is the location of your mind when you meditate today. When we say our chant aloud, Om, vibrating in the heart, Om, right there, and right up to your third eye. And if you want to today, when you breathe in between here and here. Make this the base of your meditation. Make this the top of your meditation. You can, of course, go down your spine to the back of your butt and down to your root and back up again, or to your belly. But maybe if you feel powerful enough, connected enough, try to link these two, especially if this one has opened and you've seen the violet, the indigo pearl. When we chant the Om, we feel the vibration in our chest, our throats, and in our third eye. We chant 3 Oms. We do as a group to get us going, to use our breath and our mind to focus ourselves together. And then we enter into a centering prayer practice using a prayer word inside ourselves and chant inside ourselves. A simple word like beloved, inhaling on the be and exhaling on the loved. And just ride your breath. Just ride your breath with your prayer. When your mind wanders, come back to your prayer. So 2 things for those of you who are joining us today. We chant Om, and then we go into our silent prayer. Super simple. All right, I'll see you in a few. Close my eyes, feet on the floor, belly breath. Om. Om. Silence. Follow your prayer chant. The Prologue of John, 4th creation, mystical myth. In my first near-death experience, I learned what I was and who I am, and that I was and am called into being by an ineffable name, my soul name, unspoken by me, unspoken by lips, spoken by the divine voice that is telepathic, speaking directly knowledge of self, spoke my name into being and makes me be now. That word, the word of me, is me, spoken by the Ruha, the Genesis word, the breath of the divine. Where and when, in that creation myth, chapter 1, verse 1, beginning at verse 1, when in that creation myth, the breath blew and creation began. It's not just true of me and all creation. It's true of all of us. We are all words spoken into being. Some might say notes of a song, of a frequency. Some might say light particles on a waveform of electromagnetism. I say word today. I am an unspeakable word, breathed into being spoken. Even now and always, I hear this word, this name. I hear my soul name vibrating like a whispering lover or a roaring hurricane inside me, calling me always to pay attention, pay attention, pay attention. That which was from the beginning, which I have heard, which I have seen with my astral eyes, and which I have looked at with my soul eye, and touched with my soul body, and felt with my astral body. Touched. 1 John 1. Me too. Look at that quote. Years after my first near-death experience, my guardian angel, my being of light, took me and carried me to the edge of the universe where creation begins, where the word is being spoken and creation comes into being through this word. I've described it to you, a pulsating white light, spilling out darkness, and under the darkness, the light makes the darkness exist. The unmanifested manifests. And hidden within the darkness is the light. Hidden within the breath, the pulsing breath, the and spilling out in waves of the word, manifesting this darkness. Not evil, not badness, just density. Just so thick it's 70,000 layers of a veil. Inside it, underneath it, is the word on the breath of the divine. I witnessed this pulsing light pouring out the universe, manifesting the universe, our universe, this moment in time and space, manifesting this density of darkness, in which the light, the word, can be heard and seen. In the beginning was the word, and the word was with source and is source. And the light shines in the darkness, and the darkness comprehends it not, can't see it. Not its fault. It just doesn't. The seers see and the hearers hear, and those who don't. They can, they may. It's in them all. It's in us all. But you see or you don't see. You hear or you don't hear. Many hear a distant sound, a distant word, hear the distant breath, and they want to see and to hear. And the more you gather with those who do, the tens of millions of us who come back from the dead, who vibrate with the presence of the word, the more we are together, the more we all sound the symphony, the language of the divine that is unspeakable. The darkness in this universe of time and space is beauty here, now, because the word undergirds it. We are in the darkness, and we are the darkness. And we are the light and the goodness at the core of our being, like a golden light fleck shining in everyone, radiating to aura level, coming from the eyes to be seen, heard in the voice, lived in the life, heaven here, present now. I have seen the light, breathing out the word, creating all the manner of matter. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness does not overcome it. The light shines in the darkness, creating light here and now, which is how and why we feel it from each other. It's always here. This is the foretold, second coming. It's always here. It's never not here. Even in the time of Adam, the first Christ, in the time outside of time in Eden, and that myth, and the time outside of time on earth with Adam, and that part of the myth, even then the light, the river of crystal, all life, as we talked about in Revelation, is always present now. Flowing, the word flows like a poem. It is always in the now. Beneath the 70,000 veils, we can only glimpse the light. But a glimpse is enough to compel any inward journey back to our beginning. One whisper, heard with the ear of the heart, compels us to lead a life of reorientation, aiming at the light alone, the true self of your salvation, the who you are and have always been, the time outside of time, before you were embodied here. That beginning. The key in the Gospel of John's prologue to the first 5 verses is to begin at the ending of those 5 verses and then swing round again to read through the beginning. The end is always the beginning, and the beginning is always the end. Where you go is where you're from. What you feel here is who you are. For where the beginning is, there will be the end. Blessed is she who will take her place in the beginning. She will know the end and will not experience death, said Jesus in the Gospel of Thomas, verse 18. We are forgetful and blind here and deaf to the most part. For under the 70,000 veils, it's a dense density. But it's okay, though. It's always okay because even here, the light sees itself. Let those who have eyes see, said Jesus. Let those who have ears hear. It's what you see in the sparkling of another person's eyes. If you've ever experienced this, please say so in the comments. Have you ever seen a person die with their eyes open and watch the light fade away? In the beginning was the Word, the highest vibration of the breath of the divine, and the Word was goodness, and the Word was goodness, and the Word is with goodness, and the Word is with goodness, with and was goodness. This creative Word is one being with the Creator. In the same paradoxical way that I've described to you, I'm a photon, a singular superposition photon, one of the septillion photons that make up the incredibly infinite divine light being, different and the same, manifested from the unmanifested. The creative word, the logos, is one in being with the speaker, voice, creator, the capital V voice I talk about in my book. The same was in the beginning with Source, 2 parts, one whole, paradoxical. This creative logos inside is inside of many of the metaphors Jesus speaks, that Rumi talks about. The metaphors of Jesus, I am, Lots of things found in the Gospel of John, the most mystical of all, where he says, I am the living water, the bread of life. These are metaphors. The yeast inside the loaf. These are metaphors of the word, the water, the life, the light within you now, within everything, all the time, everywhere, on earth and in the heavens of the galaxies, of the planets, of the star systems, of the beings that scatter across our universe. Everywhere, all the time, in everything, the breath and the word, the river, the crystal river of life from Revelation, flowing into the tree of life, creating the duality of darkness and light here, but watering everything with this wisdom of the Logos and the crystal river are the same things, different metaphor. All things were and are created by the wisdom, capital W, manifested from the unmanifested. And without her was not anything made that was made. In her was life, and the life was the light of all humanity, of all creation. This creation myth, number 4, also describes what some Christians call Christ consciousness. Others call it the universal energy. Some say it's the secret love inside of everything, or the high frequency, or Brahma. Everything there is, including you, including me, is made of the light energy. In the middle of you is starlight, everlasting. All the worlds, all the things were made by the Word, and without the Word was not anything made that was made. In the Word was life, and the life with a capital L is the light with a capital L for humanity. This is the prologue of John. Read the 5 verses again for the first time. See it with new eyes. It means you are the light and the life themselves. The Elohim from Genesis, the many manifested in the one light. You are light and life themselves. The word that is universal consciousness is love, from which light proceeds as a progenitor of all time, space, and matter. What matters is you and your one bit of starlight at the center of the middle of the center of you. Ignite yourself like a fusion machine. Tap that hot plasma inside of you, your unlimited energy, your unlimited connection. And it happens here between us as a taste, but it is this existence itself, far greater than you and me and all of the universe put together. The unmanifested manifests smaller than itself. It's infinity. They are infinity. And how do I know this? I've seen it. I've been there, not by my own volition, in many ways, again and again. My guardian angel, the being of light who I love and I know, who carried me first off at 5, has carried me there and shown it to me in different ways, creating my capacity for pointing at it alone. As Paul said, I don't brag on myself. I point to the light. This thing that you are. Not now and then, but always, always, before life, before your incarnation, now in it and after it. Aim for the fullness. Feel it now. You've heard me talk about the pulsation of light, pouring out the universe of darkness into being, and how the darkness veils the light within. But we know, we feel, we see the light inside of everything that is a thing. And the darkness cannot hide it from our eyes if you look to see. And seeing isn't just about eyes, it's about your heart. Feeling the vibration, feeling the energy in your palms, feeling it in your throat chakra, feeling it in your third eye, feeling it in your heart, feeling it outside yourself. How is it that we see? We see with the eye of our soul. Your soul is your consciousness, your prana, your chi, your spirit of Pentecost fire. Find out more about your prana, your chi, and your spirit of Pentecost fire. In the video that I made about that, and this week a subscriber wrote to me and said, "You've got to tell people about this video." The link is below because it will help them understand what you're talking about. The fire is you. Next week. Next week's talk is tentatively titled Eden Creation Myth and You. We're going to return to Genesis 2 to deconstruct the tree of life and the crystal river of all life through the lens of the prologue. Good luck to us. Having understood the beginning, we understand the ending. By going back to the ending, we understand the beginning anew. Because where the ending is where the beginning is, says Jesus. It's all the same river. It's all the same word. You could imagine creation as strings of words spoken, but words, you must remember, are ideas based on concepts formulated by breath and brain and vocal cords to contain an idea in a smaller thing than it is in the world. The world itself has no words. The world itself speaks for itself without language. We create language to describe it, and we string these words together, and they don't accurately portray what we actually experience of the divine light within us. Always remember, metaphor, symbol, myth, experience. We channel our small portion of light together, each with the other, around the world, like an internet of light, a light net. The more light workers who gather together, the greater our channel becomes. The more light comes into the world through us, it multiplies itself. There are tens of millions of near-death experiencers who, by no effort of their own, experience the divine and bring back gifts of light to help us multiply. And it is a natural thing in humanity. This mystical experience that you have or had or want is human, and at least half the population has it. Mystic Tea Salon and Not Church are places to talk about this, to experience it more importantly. Together, we, the tens of millions of mystical experiencers, have a chance to nudge the world into light for the first time in the history of humanity. There's more light in the world than there's ever been before. You've been awaiting the Great Awakening. Just like climate change, it's here now, just in time. Just in time for the century on Earth where humanity is increasingly disrupted. Civilization will be, and is beginning to be, increasingly disrupted by climate change. And there's always ego in the world. There's always corporate ego in the world. There's always national ego in the world because it arises from the individual's misidentity with the self. The self identified with the light seeks the compassion and the kindness inside self to give to others. This is the nudge we can bring on a practical level, interpersonally, aiming inside, clearing the way, opening self, finding your heart, hearing the word, being the breath, hearing the sound. There are tens of millions of us. Let's talk. Let's channel light together. Mystical experiences leave wisdom in a living person. If you've had a mystical experience and you want to talk about it, we have a safe community where humility and kindness are the rules of the day. Join us at the top of the hour for Mystic Tea Salon. You can find the link down below. Thanks to you and thanks to the beloved, we're still here week to week. Your gifts and your encouragements and your letters and your ideas keep me going. Thank you. I couldn't do this without you. I keep it free rather than erecting paywalls because the light belongs to everyone. The mission isn't for a select few, it's for everyone. All my life, I've been giving it away, just as the ineffable voice instructed me to, since before I died. Since the March vacation in college, before I died, I was on another vacation on the Appalachian Trail, and this mystical experience instructed me to give it away, and I still am. Patreon or PayPal or using your credit cards, debit cards, thanks. I can't do it without you. Also, counseling and conversation by appointment, all at peterpanagore.love. Remember, at the top of the hour, you can join us for Mystic Tea Salon. The link is below. I'm going to take a look at the chat. I'm going to say thank you very much, Mary. Thank you for your super chat, Mary. And you say, thank you for saying I am a mystic. It took me years to embrace that I am a mystic and not feel odd. Yeah, because people don't want you to be a mystic, don't want mystics. They're not big fans of mystics. They question what it is. They don't like the word. We had a fella here visiting last week who I kind of hope he shows up. We can continue our conversation. He doesn't like the word mystic. It has too much ethereal content when actually what it has is personal experience. It has a personal presence to it. Well, I need a drink of water. I don't know about you. So let's see. Hi, Betty L. Down East. You're late again, but you're here. So I'm going to, hey, thank you, Chad. Thank you, Chad. Thank you for everything, Chad. Thank you for everything. Chad helped me this week. I appreciate what you did. Let's see. Jay, LOL, just barely in time, but that is how things always go. Hey, Jay. Carmen, let's see. I'm going to slide way back up and see what's going on in the talk here. And I'm not sure where I'm going to pick up, but we'll see. We were talking about Sphinx cats across the USA. Looking forward to some sanity. Yes, 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 yes. Mike is working. Yes, good. Dear friends, you human word of God equal to the sun silence in the center of your movement. Oh, this is a translation from the German. You human word of God equal to sun, S-U-N, silence in the center of your movement. You human word of God equal to sun silence in the center of your movement. Beautiful. Thank you very much. Love loves light. Yes, we have seen the light fade from eyes as described, reassuring that the shell was discarded and no more suffering, says Susan. That's the blessing of death, is the end of suffering. And when the grieving person watches the light fade from the eyes, you know that suffering is over. And it's a blessing. It's a blessing for the heart of the one who has to witness the suffering, the grievous suffering, the grave suffering of their beloveds. When I put my dear cat down, I saw it in her eyes like the power went out. It's not just humans, it's animals, it's every living thing. When the light goes out, the suffering ends. Yep, seen it myself. I saw the same thing in my cat when it died in my arms many years ago, says Nathaniel. COVID masks reveal the eyes. Yeah, that's the weird thing about masking. Thanks for bringing that up. That's Michael. That's so true. So one of the advantages of wearing a COVID mask was that you got to see the eyes of a person, like super emphasized. And I kind of see that in burqas too. There's women who wear their only show their eyes. It really brings out the light. Yeah, you get to look at someone's eyes instead of their nose or their lips. You're supposed to only look, like in business, a certain distance, and in life a certain more distance. I can't remember what it is, but with masks on, we only look at each other's eyes. It's fascinating. Hey, good afternoon from Bucharest. Clubul de Glen Englens. I hope I said that right. Kubul. Hey, anyway, hi there from Bucharest. I hear you have a beautiful city. Very well said. Thanks, Kathy. Thank you. You're welcome. Yes, I love that scripture of John 1. The word is us. It is us. That's the super secret. It's always been us. Always. And the crows, too. Hey, Brooke. Healing, yes. When all that is false has turned to ashes, all that remains is the clear seeing of awake mind and awake heart. In other words, there is no longer the veil of self to cloud perception. And that is why meditation matters. It removes the cloud of self perception and creates clarity of seeing. Thanks, Brooke. So well said. Is that one of yours poems? It's beautiful if it is. Even if it isn't, it's still beautiful. Peter, I saw a program about the pineal gland. It was saying that fluoride in foods and water kills the pineal gland slowly over time. So now I'm taking extra kelp tablets to take some of the fluoride out. Sure, I don't know about that. I know that it hasn't. I use fluoride. It hasn't really stopped me, but maybe that's true, and it doesn't hurt to eat kelp, and maybe that science is accurate. I just don't know anything about it, Rob. But I'm glad that you're taking care of your pineal gland, and I also take like cranberry, for instance, because I know it affects my body in a positive way. So I know that herbs do affect the body, and kelp also affects the body. What am I trying to say? I don't really know what I'm talking about. Let's keep going. But I'm glad you're taking care of yourself. And let us know if that works. Let us know if it helps. Um, I didn't know about that fluoride thing, says Basilia. Rob, I don't know how well this works. Give it a shot. What do you get to lose? Nothing. And kelp's good for you in 1,000 different ways. Maybe not that many, but it's a good food. It's really good with sushi and wasabi. There is fluoride in the water for sure. There's no fluoride in my well though. There's just iron. um, I'm not familiar with fluoride's effect on the body when ingested, but I think that exogenous fluoride treatment by a family dentist would be better. Thank you for saying yes. I read that one. Thank you for saying you're welcome. Mary S. also said thank you. Oh, you put that in your super chat. I see that now. But thank you. And thanks for that super chat. I feel quiet today. My receiver must be working better than my transmitter. Yes, to seeing it in animals. Me too. Being part of this group always helps me realize new things. Me too, Tim. Brook Grove, beautiful, says Rebecca. So this energy, this push of light, this power that you are, this word who you are, cultivate it. When Rob's talking about his pineal gland, he's talking about cultivating it. It can be cultivated, it can be grown. That's what meditation, a prayer life, any kind of meditation, that's what it's for. That's what it does. It eliminates self-attachment, creates clarity. Thank you, says Rebecca. I tell you, the energy you and the group radiate is so present, it enlivens my own practice. Thank you and everyone here for the Shaktipat. It's a shared experience. Shaktipat shares between us. It's what Jesus was talking about when he said, heaven is inside you, among you and between you, above you and below you, but among you. It's among us and between us. This energy, Shaktipat, is a single word for that description. It's funny, we don't have that in the West. I have to look to the East to get the word for it. But it's not the word, it's the experience of it. The energy radiance of us in a group. And as much as you feel it here, if we can connect outside ourselves more, the bigger it becomes for everyone. And if there are other groups on the earth putting their light into groups, the whole thing gets brighter altogether. Not just our little group, all the groups around the world, all doing the same thing, linking to each other, but linking inside to the source itself, to the word itself. What do I think of the Old Testament? Huge question, David. Thanks for the thumbs up there, Rob. It's a big question. Is there anything more than a history of the Hebrew people? What are we to think of its many stories? There's a lot. Okay, so the so-called Old Testament, the Jewish scriptures, are a collection of books written by a whole bunch of different people over a whole long period of time. They constitute in part a history, but history is also written by the victor, so they're always a partial victory. A partial history. And there is light in the prophets. There's mysticism. In Song of Solomon, there's mysticism, Ezekiel, Isaiah, and the stories of Moses and Abraham and the mythologies. There's mysticism and light hidden within the stories. There's also this, you remember, there's all these rules and regulations, but you got to remember that the I'm going to say Adonai didn't want humanity to have a king or laws. It wanted humanity to be ruled by itself, by the own light within. And so the Old Testament has all these rules and regulations. Some of those are health regulations, and they're good because, you in the old days, just as in today, if you don't cook pork well, you die. And because pigs are so similar to humans, there's a lot of disease that jumps between the two. And so there is a health rule there. But there's also crazy rules. If your child disobeys you, take him to the city gates and stone him to death. So it's a very complicated thing, J. David. I would love to talk about it more at length because I do obviously have ideas and opinions about it, but that's kind of a thumbnail. I looked at Ezekiel, the beginning of Ezekiel and the Song of Solomon, if you want to just think of a couple of things off the top of my head. Mysticism in both places. Edgar Case talked about fluoride, helps some, hurts others. Amount seems a consideration. Thank you, Susan. Always helpful information. Hello from Sydney, Montana. Hey, I've been to Sydney, Montana. When I was in the Theater of Silence at MSU, Montana State University in Bozeman, I went to Sydney. Hi, everybody. I was the guy in the white face. Mime. I bet nobody's even there anymore who was there when I was there. Everything radiates. Yes, it does. I love the collected poems of the Psalms. Yeah, they're very human. The Psalms express the breadth of humanity's life experience in relationship to each other and themselves and the divine. And um, there's some more mystical than others. That's also true. But I love the Psalms too. It's poetry. I get that feeling from the world, from everything is in it, says Michael. It's because it's real, Michael. That's the reality. That's the real real. It's the lasting real. It's the empowering real if we tap into it. I'm glad you feel it too, because that means you're bringing it to the world around you. Fluoride is a bad friend. Fluoride is a bad friend once told me fluoride is bad. I'm sorry. I should put my glasses on. Fluoride is bad. A friend once told me that the Nazis used fluoride in the water for the prisoners to reduce brain function and make people docile. I looked this up and it's true. Whoa. High doses, maybe? Geez. Um, there seems to be a progression in the Old Testament from civilizing the people to spiritualizing them, preparing them for the deeper revelation. Wanda. Hoo-yah. Hoo-yah. Yes, there does seem to be that. That's true. Don't eat your friends. Animals are special. Yes. Sorry. I like that, Wanda. The Myth Vision podcast on YouTube discusses various scholarly views of the Old and New Testaments. The Myth Vision podcast. Thanks, Antonio. And always there's what's his face? That famous professor whose classes I took. Bart Ehrman. Bart Ehrman has a lot of info out there, scholarly info. Thanks for telling us about the Myth Vision podcast. Shout out to them. Brian McCarthy, absolutely true. Then in the early 60s, US put in the drinking water. The mass life reviews, says Jay, are all about how and where you spread the light around the world. The mass life reviews are all about how and where you spread the light around the world. That's a beautiful thing. I think since the chat isn't fired up this morning and we have a few extra minutes, I might duck out a little early today at about 2 minutes, unless this heats up a little bit, and then I'll see you at the top of the hour at Mystic Tea Salon. Thanks for coming today. Thanks for liking and subscribing. Peace to you all. Brian says, Candyman, yes, I know about that. Thanks. All right, my friends. I'm going to go back to Jay's last word here. The mass life reviews are all about how and where you spread the light around the world. Life review about light and life. Oh, Peter, but before we go, what do you make of the Bible saying stay away from mediums? I think it's wrong. I think there are some mediums you should stay away from, but other mediums, no. I think the Bible's wrong about that. I think that people were scared. I think that there may have been charlatans. I could speculate. There may have been charlatans. There may have been people uh, being mediums of misleading people. I don't really know what was going on back then, but there were mediums who are real. What can I say? I've been visited by the dead. So there are parts of the Bible that I think are just wrong. The killing, when the Hebrews crossed the River Jordan and slaughtered everybody there and took their land, I didn't think that was very nice. What do you say make of the people mediums? Okay, is this something that you think we should be careful with, or something that there is to keep people from accessing wisdom? I think it's both. I think you need to be careful with it, and I think it's a type of wisdom. It's a type of wisdom that applies to the world primarily. It's not a deeper wisdom where you lose yourself. You gain wisdom in the world because someone comes and gives you information that helps you in your life. Your great Aunt Mary comes and she says, look in the back of my closet. There you'll find, or something to that effect, or I love you, or whatever it happens to be, which helps you in the world. But it doesn't really help you on your trajectory of your divine journey into love and light. It gives you more head knowledge, but where's the energy exchange? Maybe there is. Maybe there is. And in that case, there you go. But yes, mediums, some are charlatans. There's just no way really around that. Um, so be careful out there. It's a crazy mixed up spiritual world, and you have to watch your guard. You got to keep your light dukes up now. You just need to aim toward the light. All the protection you need, all the protection I've ever needed is in the light itself. Um, which isn't to say I don't take medications for my sicknesses, because it doesn't protect me against that. Still, we don't get why it's important that we should know how many goats the tribe of Asher had. Thank you for this great teaching. How many goats did the tribe of Asher have? I don't know. Thanks, Wanda. Beautiful thoughts today. Powerful, not church. Thanks, Tiffany. Thank you, PLR. Thank you. Tim, yes, powerful, not church. Thanks, Tim. Okay, thanks for answering. You're welcome, Lisa. My sister has those gifts. They come, you're born with it. You can't help yourself. It's like being born with extra special hearing or 2015 vision. It comes with the package, you know. Just be careful out there. That's all. Be careful out there. Aim your heart to the light. My advice to mediums is aim your heart to the light. If you're dealing with things that are unearthly, other earthly, metaphysical, aim yourself to the light. Protect yourself. It says we're surrounded by a great cloud of witnesses in Hebrews. We can talk to them. There's like angels all around us, light beings all around us all the time. Thanks, Rebecca. I remember when I was young, I was walking in. See, we had a false ending. This is like the end of Mark. There's two endings in the Gospel of Mark. There's the first ending and the second ending. Remember when I was young, I was walking in school. I'm checking the time here, making sure I'm not going over 52. Okay. I remember when I was young, I was walking in school from doing gym outside and felt light, so I almost began floating. I was a bit scared and it stopped. Yeah, Brian, as soon as you become aware of it, it stops. As soon as you get frightened, it stops. That's kind of a compassionate thing on the sake of the light. It's the lifting up. That kind of thing happens. And you still remember it vividly, I bet. Aim your heart at that feeling you had before you got afraid. Let it be an opening for you. Let that gift begin to speak to you and guide you, because it's still inside you. There were mystics and wise women who spilled the beans on the powerful. Oh, yes, of course there were. And women were repressed. Women were doing a whole lot. And someday we should talk about women. The witches in the Bible. We could talk about them and the light that they carried. The same medium can be right one time and wrong another. Yeah, it's totally true. But the light itself never ever is wrong. That's why I aimed at that instead of becoming a medium. That's why. Because the light is all there is. Why would I choose anything less? And then you kind of get mediumship thrown in a little bit. That would be why numbers doesn't get cited much. That's right. Numbers doesn't get cited much. Nobody talks about numbers in the Bible. Have you ever talked to others who have written about NDE, such as Eben Alexander? Yes. Natalie Sudman? No. What are your thoughts on their experiences? The NDEers I know personally, some of whom have written books and some of whom have not. The mark of humility and understanding is distinguishable in them by the light they carry. And the stories that we NDEers, get on the other side, seem to be the stories we need to live out a better life here. That's the way I see it. I've had a really good talk with Eben Alexander about some similar related subject. Let's see, where are we? You said to fire it up. I did say to fire it up. I do say fire this thing up. Make it hot. I should get going. The logo file in me honors the logo file in you. The logo fire in me honors the logo fire in you, Brooke. You're welcome. Thank you. Om Shanti Om. Um, oh, yes, I'll never forget this. And yes, if I try to think consciously about it, it goes. Yeah, can you just sit in it? Just sit in it. Like put your mind in it, Brian, rather than processing it. It can't really be processed anyway. Hey, I got to go. I'll see you at the top of the hour. Peace and love, everybody. Namaste. Like and subscribe and all that. I appreciate it. Tell your friends. Spread the word. See you in a few.